Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman invites you to mark 1 year since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th. Join us as we come together this Monday, October 7th at 6 p.m. at the Harry Chapin Lakeside Theater in Eisenhower Park. Let's stand together in solidarity with Israel and those held hostage Monday, October 7th, 6 p.m. at Eisenhower Park. For more information, visit nassaucountyny.gov.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
With us today is Michael Goodwin, a columnist from the New York Post, a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. And Michael Goodwin, you had a great article in the New York Post today about Eric Adams. What are your thoughts?
Oh, thank you, John. Look, I think we're in a very bizarre moment, even given the long history of colorful characters, shall we say, in New York politics. The mayor, as everyone knows, has been indicted on 5 federal counts, and yet there is no great push for him to leave office. Of course, there are some, particularly other Democrats who want his job, are urging that he be pushed out. But the public at large, there's no great movement. And I think what that signifies is that New Yorkers look at the Democratic Party backbenchers and those who want to be frontbenchers, and they say, no thanks. Particularly the public advocate, Jumaane Williams, would become acting mayor if Eric Adams were to leave before the end of his term. And I think Jumaane Williams is nobody's choice of a great mayor. I mean, he's very far left, somewhat of a lightweight in the sense that he just isn't around. I mean, he's sort of invisible and pops up once in a while, but basically I think is a non-factor in anything that's happening in the city. He would be mayor for a certain period, depending on if Adams left and when it was. And of course, there's the Republican Party, which, remains on life support. No obvious candidate there yet. You notwithstanding, John, I know you've talked about it, but too early to say. And I do think that the public is saying, well, Adams may be the best of a bad lot for now. And so here he is, going around saying that he's not only going to fight the charges against him and remain in office, he's going to seek re-election. Now, some of this, I think, is about just trying to create an image that he's tough and that he's not going to go easily. But I think all of that has complicated the calculations of Governor Hochul. She has the power to remove him, and when he was indicted, it certainly seemed to be suggesting that that's the way she was leaning. She said she was giving the mayor a couple of days to think this over. Well, there's only one way to read that, and I hope he resigns so I don't have to remove him myself. He said, hell no, and she has stayed her hand, has apparently settled for telling him he has to clean house. Ergo, all of these departures that we see, resignations really by the dozens, it seems. Every day there's somebody new. Yesterday there was another indictment for hiding on the charge of destroying evidence, intimidating witnesses. The feds say that Eric Adams may face more charges. So we'll see. But right now it looks like the job is his until there's another shoe drops.
Well, I mean, my position has always been, and I've said this publicly, is that we got to find out what the real charges are. I mean, I think the government is still trying to gather information, and if it's just an upgrade for on an airplane or an upgrade on a hotel room, that's nothing. I mean, but if it's serious and the government does something, then something's going to happen.
Well, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that is part of the calculus that people are making, that these these charges are not earth-shattering. They're not public enemy number one kind of crimes. There's the upgrades. There's this idea of a quid pro quo, but even that's a little iffy. The helping the Turkish consulate open. He wasn't mayor at that point. And I think the ones that may have some teeth are the straw donations and this idea of foreign nationals making contributions to his campaign. In some cases, the charges have the same people doing both of those things. Foreign nationals making campaigns and then getting reimbursed by their bosses or whatever. So, and it all seems to be Turks by and large. But look, I think that's to be proven. And I would also point out that I rarely agree with Al Sharpton on anything these days, but his point that Robert Menendez, the senator from New Jersey, the former senator of New Jersey, was indicted for being a foreign agent for Egypt, extortion, bribery, etc., and no one called for him to resign from the Senate. He did resign only after he was convicted. And so Sharpton draws the point that those are really much more serious charges than Eric Adams faces. And Menendez has been convicted of them, whereas Adams has just been indicted. So that is an argument as well that I think is giving Adams some more room and some more time.
I believe that, and he does have the room. I think, how did the British say it? Let's see what, let's see what happens. Just.
I think we are in a kind of.
If it's really serious, then something serious will happen. Yes,
and I think we're in a wait and see. Which is itself, kind of remarkable when you realize he is the first mayor in the history of New York City to be indicted while in office.
Well, we do have a strange Department of Justice these days.
Well, that's another factor, isn't it?
It is another factor, because if you're an enemy of the White House, you're an enemy.
And Adams has made that claim. That's part of that this is politically motivated, which puts him in the camp of Donald Trump and a lot of other people who feel that Merrick Garland has really politicized the Justice Department. Now, it's interesting. There's stories in Bob Woodward's new book that Joe Biden is furious at Merrick Garland, but that's because he prosecuted Hunter Biden. But even that is odd because he let it languish for years and years into the administration, and he brought down the hammer on Donald Trump, which Joe Biden wanted. So the
question is, Michael, is Merrick Garland really running the Department of Justice? There's been accusations that the people behind him that Democratic National Committee operatives are running the Department of Justice.
Well, there is a lot of that concern that I think one of his top deputies, I think her name is Lisa Monaco, is regarded as a real Democratic activist. And that, look, I reported that the FBI was never told that he was some of these things, some of these charges, all of this were going to play out the way they did. That the FBI, for example, would not have agreed to the raid on Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, but the Justice Department didn't ask the FBI.
No, but they didn't. The Miami FBI. I understand what I heard, that the Miami FBI refused to do it or didn't want to do it. And they brought in the Washington hit squad, FBI.
Yes, but they never consulted the top of the FBI, which you would normally do for something so significant. So there are lots of rumblings about a corrupted Department of Justice under Merrick Garland. But that doesn't mean the Eric Adams case fits that description.
It doesn't mean that if Eric Adams is significantly guilty other than an upgrade of an airplane ticket, then I think something's going to happen.
Yes, I do too. And I think that's, again, another argument to wait and see how this thing plays out. Again, the backdrop being that there's no obvious successor that the public is lusting for. And so, as you say, let see
things
what
sort
happens,
themselves out.
because things could get worse.
Yes. Thank you so much, Michael Goodwin, and we'll catch up with you again real soon.
My pleasure. Thank you, John.
Thank you.